This is the USC Football Podcast. Here are your hosts, Tim Prangley of LAFB and Gabe Greenlee of the Trojan Blade.
Welcome back. Whether this is your first listen or you've been supporting our channels for a while now, we always appreciate you being here. On this week's show, we're going to review USC's 32-34 loss to the Fighting Illini. Another last-minute heart-wrenching loss for the Trojans in the Big Ten. This one coming on the foot of David Alano on a 41-yard field goal as time expired. The Trojans now 4-1 on the season, 1-1 in the Big Ten. Gabe, what are your first reactions of the game?
Yeah. Hi, Tim. That was not a very pleasant watch. It's one you could kind of see coming from pretty early in the game. Just a lot of weird stuff was going on. The Wayman Jordan fumble, just the way we couldn't stop the run, couldn't get any push defensively. A lot of our worries kind of, that we've been seeing over the first few weeks really played out in this game. And there's obviously a lot more questions going forward than answers, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, in this game, it did seem like the secondary, there were some issues there. But the most concerning thing for me, because the secondary is so banged up, the fact that the front seven, not banged up, completely healthy, we're so ineffective at generating a pass rush and often being out physical and blown off the line in the run plays.
Yeah, and since we have to, unfortunately, get more into this game, let's just do the housekeeping stuff. You guys can find me on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram at the Trojan Blade. Tim is at Tim_Prangley. You can also find him over at USC LAFB on YouTube and the website as well. In terms of reviews, we do have one new one for this week, and it actually is kind of fitting. So this comes from Isaac Reed over on Apple Podcasts. Again, guys, leave a 5-star review and it will be read on the show. Isaac says, Gabe and Tim, you guys have been amazing. The USC football content has been impeccable. Now, for the defensive backs, is there any way we can fix this position group as the season progresses? More specifically, what would be your top 3 strategies for getting the DBs to play better/improve? Or is this hopeless and we have to rely on the front? Seems like the fundamentals are a bit off. So in terms of strategies, we're really reeling in the secondary, both production-wise, health-wise, all of it. It's just a mess. So a good way to go about helping them is to take one of them off the field. And we don't have the personnel to be playing nickel right now, but we're playing it anyway. I know that's DeAnt Lynn's base. Very important part of this defense. But as often as we can have 3 linebackers on the field, I think we need to do it. I think having Jaden Walker out there also helps support Desmond, takes less off his plate. It's just good for everybody. So that would be the main thing that we could possibly do. The other one is just not playing any man coverage, just playing zone across the board, trying to keep everything in front of us. But with the way we've been struggling tackling in the secondary, that might not really help either. So I know that's not 3, but that's all I can really think of because this is such a disaster right now.
And one issue with your idea of playing the zone, keep everything in front of you, the lack of the alarming lack of pass rush that we saw in this game. If you give a quarterback time and clean pockets with passing lanes to attack a soft zone, these quarterbacks we are going to be facing can march down the field on USC. I think one thing we need to look forward to, and I know it's been kind of hanging on, and you kind of zinged it back at me when we had a conversation earlier. Yes, I might be relying on a true freshman, but everybody was super hyped about Alex Graham. He's a part of this puzzle that I think, or Prophet coming back. If we can get Alex Graham or Prophet back to play the nickel or both, and then maybe put Prophet at corner to tighten up whatever's going on. Our corners had some trouble today. There's no way to hide it. I think that allows you, if you did want to go to 3 linebackers, that allows you to roll Kamari Ramsey back to safety. And I would feel a lot better if we had a 3 linebacker set, if you had both Kamari Ramsey and Bishop Fitzgerald back there. So yeah, not a lot of strategies to it. I think the biggest thing is right now we don't know what this defense looks like healthy. We do know what it looks like in the current iteration with having Kamari Ramsey up there at the line. I think that we will know a lot more if and when. And the big thing is when are we going to get Alex Graham and Prophet back? I know they said Prophet's probably late, probably 2/3 or so. We probably won't see him for a couple of games, but getting Alex Graham back would be a huge boost for the secondary. But thank you so much for the 5-star review and watching the show.
All right. Yeah. And that is all the reviews that we have this week. It's just the one. So unfortunately, we should get into this game, break it down, relive our pain and misery. So Tim, where do you want to start?
Well, let's start with the body clock issue that was kind of kicked around a little bit. I think it was great that Lincoln Riley showed some flexibility in his travel, and they got out there earlier than they typically do. Now that might be because of the 9:00 start time. They got out there a day earlier than normal. Is that correct?
Yes, they left on Thursday.
So it looked like the offense got the ball first because the Fighting Illini deferred to the second half. USC was moving the ball really well. And I just got to say it, I'm a huge Wayman Jordan fan. I think he is an insane, both he and Eli are great running backs. But man, it's only a couple of times, but he really has to secure that ball, especially on the road. We knew going to this game that the Illinois defense had something to prove, giving up so many points against Indiana. They came out pissed off. They came out healthy. They got all those guys back except for the nickelback that's out for the season. And they were moving the ball on the ground well. But when you turn the ball over in plus territory, like they did a couple of times in this game, on the road, hostile crowd, and your defense struggling, it's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it's just the tenets of football, the things you can't do on the road and expect to win, especially not in an environment like that and not in this conference where, let's face it, guys, we're not Oregon. We're not Ohio State. We're not at the top of this conference. We're just not. We don't have that big of a margin for error anyway. And when you give them freebies like that, you're just setting yourself up to lose. And that turnover obviously came back to bite us considering how close the margin was. So yeah, at the time, it sucked. I didn't think it was the biggest deal in the world. Just we had so much time left to bounce back from it, but it did come back to bite us in the ass for sure.
Yeah, we had 9 possessions and we turned it over 3 times. 1 on downs, 1 interception, and 1 fumble. All 3 were in plus territory.
Yeah, you don't win like that.
No.
But I don't think that overall the body clock thing was that big of an issue, only because the issues that plagued us carried out throughout the entire game. Like most of the time, you'll see a team come out sluggish in the first half, just like Oregon did against Northwestern. But then when they come out for that second half, they're in it, they're awake, they're present in the game, and they're playing their normal style of offense or defense. We just had the same issues throughout the entire course of this game. Like, I don't think it was a body clock problem. I don't think that's why we lost. And that's not what you're saying. But I know that a lot of people, especially in my comment section on YouTube, were trying to spin it like that. And that's not how I see it whatsoever.
No, I mean, definitely not on offense. I think overall, I guess you want to hit on the offense just as a general conversation really quick. The offense didn't look great. I mean, I said to you, anytime you score 32 points on the road in the Big Ten, that should be enough to win. And overall, the offensive line did a great job. Jada Mayaba every week is showing exactly why Lincoln Riley had so much faith in him. Running backs, again, without putting the ball on the ground. It was tough sledding for them, but late in the game when they needed the yards, they were picking up the yards. And they finished out this game with 3 straight touchdowns to put USC in a position, as we've seen so many times over the past couple of years, with a lead late in a game, and all we need is a defense to close it out. And so many times that we've seen over the past couple of years, the defense wasn't able to do that.
No. And what the defense did today is they wasted one of the best performances I've ever seen from a Trojan wideout in Mekhi Lemon. And we've seen a bunch of those, but he put the offense on his back. Now, just like you said, Jaden Mayava was making some ridiculous throws, dropping it in the bucket between 3 or 4 guys at times. But Mekhi Lemon's on a different level right now. 11 receptions, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that does not begin to tell the full story of his day. He was outstanding. He was getting separation when he was getting doubled. The few times that they did single him, I'm not sure why they ever did, but he made them pay each and every time. That interception that Jaden threw, he was locked on to Mekhi Lemon. Just didn't see the linebacker. That's going to happen. I get wanting to get the ball to your best guy. It was his one big mistake on the day. But the fact that Mekhi Lemon did what he did. Let's talk about Late McCree and Walker Lyons. These guys are playing at a very high level as well, both in the blocking game and the throw game. We've been abusing that seam route, and Jaden did throw a couple hospital balls. A little high, but Lake and Walker were able to hang on, thank goodness. But yeah, it was a very good day from the pass catchers overall. Just a shame that it got wasted with that dreadful performance from the USC defense.
Yeah, 7 catches for the tight ends in this game.
Yeah.
And tough catches. All of them in traffic. Like you said, some hostile balls, some high balls, but they came down with them. And when Lemon wasn't getting open, he also caught some balls in traffic. So in this game, Jaden didn't have some of the separation. And we're going to see as the defenses get better, you're going to see those windows get tighter. but Jaden didn't disappoint. On the one play you did talk about it, that was just where he absolutely did stare down the receiver. He had a clean pocket and a wide open passing lane, and he just didn't see him. But again, if you're going to throw the ball 43 times, complete 70% of your passes, 2 touchdowns for a quarterback rating of 151, you're not going to get on the quarterback for one he didn't see. So the offense, as I said, played well enough to win this game. Now we're going to rotate to my stellar prediction at the beginning of the year that the defense was, as the offense struggled in the year.
Oh boy,
that this defense was going to step up and be the difference this year. Yeah, great call. So speaking of the defense,
we can just say it because USC sucks.
I just the fact that it wasn't complete turnover luck. Like Braylon Conley was credited with what you and I are still arguing about. I'm saying that ball's moving. You're telling me it's not.
That was not a fumble, guys. We got gifted one by the Big Ten refs. I guess they felt bad for jobbing us every single game last year because on no planet was that a fumble. But I will absolutely take it.
But when Braylon Conley ripped that ball out, and then you saw Eric Gentry with just almost like a carbon copy of Matai Tagovailoa when he spun around. When he punched that ball out just with perfect form. At that point, did it seem you guys listening right now? Let me know how many hours that ball was rolling in the end zone for in your reality. I couldn't believe how long it seemed like that ball was on the ground. And time just stopped because that was such a pivotal point. They were about to go back up 14 points. What is absolutely great play by Eric Gentry. Again, quietly putting together, as he always does, just an amazing game. Eric with 8 tackles, 3 solo, and that big forced fumble at the end of the game. The defense as a whole, though, it just seemed like it was being overmatched, out physicaled, and athletically seemed like they couldn't keep up at times. And then also we're having situations where it just looks like guys are confused, giving away inside leverage when there's no help inside. That's twice in 2 weeks where you've just conceded touchdowns.
I mean, let's just call it like it is, Tim. We got flat out dominated from the first snap of the game until the final whistle. This defense got pushed around, bullied like it was 2022 Alex Grinch out there. It was non-competitive at times. Now, this is a weird sort of point to talk about, but it's college football in 2025. This is where we are. As much money that has been invested into that Trojan defensive front today was beyond unacceptable. That was a dreadful performance in the run game. No push, blasted off the ball over and over and over again. Now, the secondary, as bad as they are, and oh boy, are they bad. They are beat to hell with injuries right now. We are down to our 5th nickel. That's what Kendarius Riddick is. 4th nickel. They are decimated on the back end. Not to excuse all of their horrible play, which we'll talk about, but this defensive front's fully healthy. We are loaded with all of the guys that we had very high expectations for the entire offseason. And up to this point, Keyshawn Silver's been pretty close to a swing and a miss. Now, Jamal Jarrett, he's a younger guy. He does have some more eligibility, kind of a guy for the future. But Silver has not all been good enough. Devin Tompkins today was not nearly good enough. Even our edge players really struggled containing the run game as well. This was a collective failure from the defensive front and the front 7 at large, excluding Eric Gentry, even though it wasn't his best performance by his very high standards.
Yeah, the team as a whole had a hard time getting off blocks. You didn't see those shed and tackle plays that you were seeing from Braylon Shelby a lot, Devin Tompkins, Anthony Lucas. This just didn't seem like those were happening inside like we were having earlier. Yes, the competition, again, it's going to be a broken record, is going to continue to ramp up until we all the way get to Eugene. But I'm talking about on the outside as well. These guys have to get off their blocks. Otherwise, a 5 or 6 yard sweep is going to go on. What was that guy? 6'5", 240 pounds, going 70 yards on a swing pass. I mean, you guys, that should not happen with the athletes we have. They have to get off those blocks. Inside, you got to stack and shed and make the tackle. And you can't get blown up. I mean, I was really disappointed seeing guys like Devin Tompkins, who is the lightest, probably one of the lighter guys on the defensive front. But Keyshawn Silver was getting knocked back 3, 4, 5 yards with consistency on some of these run plays. Just completely taken out, pushed back into our linebackers, ruining their ability to come up and make a play. It just really was a bad look. Was this the body clock thing with the bigger guys? It didn't affect the offensive line, but it did not look like the team I watched for 4 weeks.
No, it didn't. This is by far the best team we've played, the most veteran offensive line, an offensive line that, by the way, got absolutely hammered by Indiana. That game was, I know we can't take much from it because it was just so out there. It was so extreme in a lot of circumstances, but it was just not good enough today by any of them on the front. It was a collective failure, like I said. And I think that we need to have the conversation. And I think it's fascinating. And it's something I put on Twitter. Alicia De Artola Castillo from Reina Troy. Me and her were kind of going back and forth about this on Twitter, but I said that every single year that Lincoln Riley has been a head coach, it's been the same problems with the defense. There's been different coordinators, there's been different players, but there's been one constant. The defenses have been soft, especially in the run game, right? So what is going on inside this program that does not allow us to put a better product on the field defensively? Because we're way too talented to be playing like this. This looked exactly like 2023, 2022. Like, I don't even know where to begin. I even said on Twitter, I have no idea what could be causing this, but there's no way in hell a USC defense under D'Anton Lynn with these coaches that we've been praising as elite the entire offseason should be looking this poor against a team like Illinois.
Hey, Tim, I'm never going to forgive you for being such a bootleg.
Okay, now
never.
look. Oh, we've got to get ourselves maybe like a boot sponsor or something. Is there like a boot barn or something? I don't know. There's some kind of boots.com. We're going to get hammered. You won't get, I'm about to get hammered probably, but I'm going to say it. No one wants to hear about injuries. And the only thing I'm going to throw out there is you can't run your defense if you don't have the personnel.
How does that affect the front seven though? Because they're fully healthy.
Now I'm the one that was all about the depth of the defensive interior. And I think the funny thing is that depth and that quality talent came from other sources. Like I knew that, I've been big on Floyd Boucard. We knew that Jakeem Stewart was going to be just insane. I did. And I think you did also talk about, Jay Abasiri just looks the part, and towards the end of last year, seemed like he was coming on, and he's overall played really well overall, not so much in this game. But the big part I was putting on is I thought that Carlin Jones would be stepping up. Jamal Jarrett and Keyshawn Silver were a shoo-in to be in the middle there. I thought that we would have the stout defenses that would be able to stand up to that type of Big Ten offensive line. And it doesn't look like we have it, because if that's any indication of what this defensive interior is going to look like against Michigan, against Notre Dame, and again against maybe even it's going to be some really long afternoons or evenings for the Trojan faithful. And so you're right, Gabe. The front seven was healthy, but you don't play football in a nutshell, right? You don't play it in a petri dish where things are separated. It's basically you have a defense and you can attack the weak link of the defense. And I don't know if there's compensations. The problem that I'm seeing, what worries me about the front seven is it's not a schematic thing. It looks like they're being out physicaled, and you can't 5 games into a season work on the physicality. You are who you are in week 5. And that worries me. It was what a lot of people talked about. A couple of beat writers I talked about when Tremaine Carroll was hired. It was kind of a late hire. Culture change doesn't happen that quick, and strength and body issues don't change that quick either. I'm just simply amazed at when we rewatched the highlights, Gabe, just how USC was being handled up front.
Well, yeah, like I said earlier, we got completely dominated, and it's year 4 of Lincoln Riley. Like, what true reason has he given us to believe that he's going to turn this defense into what it needs to be to contend for a Big Ten title, let alone a national title? Not even talking about that right now. But he hasn't given us any true reason to hop on the bandwagon to believe that it's going to turn around. This is 2023 shit. Like, it was not good at all today. This was an unacceptable performance, and Lincoln even said so himself, I believe, in the post-game presser, if I saw that quote correctly. But yeah, I don't even know where we go from here. It was so bad.
But there are the benefits, Gabe. Here's my point, though. we are seeing stuff from true freshmen. Like Jakeem Stewart is ahead of where people thought he would be as far as his get off and rushing the passer, but not up front. Floyd Boucard, same thing. Shoot him out of a cannon, but looks like he's getting out physical up front. I do want to see, though, as their game's going to progress throughout this season. This is only game 5. They're going to get better every game, but we're running really out of time. When is USC going to get back? Like, we know we're not going to get Profit, but when are they going to get Alex Graham? Maybe he might, placing all of your hopes for your defense on a true freshman is crazy. I get it, but they have to find a way to get Bishop Fitzgerald and Kamari Ramsey in the back there. I think that could make a big difference in the way we look at this defense. I don't know how they fix overnight, what's going on. DeCarlos Nicholson, it didn't help that DeCarlos Nicholson was cramping up the entire second half as well. So that means really of the secondary we thought we were going to have with Prophet Brown, Alex Graham, Chasen Johnson, who's now out for the whole season, and then along with Carlos Nicholson being cramping up the second half, that's pretty much your starting lineup outside of Bishop Fitzgerald and Kamari Ramsey out of position. It just seems like that secondary is nothing like we were going to see. And injuries are part of football. There need to be adjustments made. There were adjustments made at halftime. However, that brings up a whole nother conversation. We're not winning that third quarter very often, Gabe.
No, we're not. And I think that goes with the common theme of what we saw today. This is not a well-coached defense right now. It's just not, plain and simple. Like today, we were not up for it. I think that's clear to say. We got out-coached schematically, especially in that third quarter. We were leaving our corners on islands when they clearly could not handle it. Now, I'm not sure. There's one play where Braylon Conley was asked to cover an island of space, and Bishop Fitzgerald was the single high safety, and he was on the other side of the field. I'm not sure if that's where he was supposed to be, but asking Braylon Conley, who had been having a stinker up to that point, to go one-on-one with a much bigger wide receiver and cover an island of space, I think that's a really big and nearly impossible ask that they put him in. So we are not winning the third quarter. We didn't show up ready to play defensively anyway. Again, all the problems that we're talking about with the defense, like the mentality issues, the physicality issues, I think this is a very soft performance overall from them. They got blasted all game long. The offense didn't have that issue. It was the complete opposite, actually. I thought our offensive line took the fight to them, especially in the pass game. We looked very solid, very physical when we were pulling. Loved what we saw from Justin Tuanu, Tobias Raymond. But on the defensive side of the ball, and I mean, it's what we've seen from Lincoln Riley defenses over the years. Like soft, very soft. And that's the biggest concern for me. And the injuries in the back end are their own sort of thing. The front seven was fully healthy. They got pushed around. It was non-competitive at times. It's year 4. All the investment that's been made in that front seven. Coach Henney, Coach Nua, this was a very red flag raising, very alarming sort of performance.
Yeah, the third quarter on offense was I think probably the worst quarter for them. Jaden was just a little bit off. He started out the first drive was that interception, and then they stalled and had to punt, but then again 3 touchdowns to close out the game. But when your defense really, if you look at the second half, they go field goal, punt, touchdown, fumble at the goal line, field goal to win the game. The defense did not show up in the second half. So whatever adjustments were made, and there were adjustments made, none of them worked. Well, sorry, very few of them worked. And I'm all I take my hat off to the Illini. They really responded after an ass beating against the Hoosiers. They came back pissed off at home for the homecoming crowd and really took the USC. And you guys, this is a talented Illini team. It is a veteran, more than anything, a veteran, tough-nosed team at home, angry and dangerous. So I don't take that lightly. But USC's talent alone should be able to get some stops against against their offense. And the fact that pretty much with the exception of the second drive of the second half, again, field goal, punt, touchdown, fumble at the goal line, and field goal, that's just not going to get done ever on the road.
No, It's not. And we still have the entire season in front of us. But I will say, after seeing that defensively, because that was really our first, nothing against Michigan State. This is going to sound extremely disrespectful, but that was our first real opponent. And that's the game everyone had circled, from national pundits to us that just cover USC specifically. Everyone had circled this game and said, okay, this is where we're going to find out if USC has rounded the corner, taken the next step, turned into a true Big Ten contender. We're going to find out in Champaign. And what we found out today is that offensively, I think we're there, as we have been every year under Lincoln Riley, aside from last year in 2024. But we found out also that defensively, we're nowhere near it. I mean, Tim, you and me were watching the Oregon game earlier. We were watching Bama, Georgia. Like, our defense is just not on that level from a physicality standpoint. At least they weren't in this game. And it's hard to imagine us making that big of a turnaround before the end of the season. And with the schedule we have coming up, Michigan runs that power West Coast style. That's schematically a tough matchup for us. Notre Dame, yikes. Yeah. Nebraska, that's a tough road game. We'll see. Oregon, again, yikes. So the schedule does not get any easier from here on out. Northwestern is the only game that we can pretty much chalk up as a W. I would say the Bruins, but it's a rivalry game. You never know what little brother's going to do.
Don't lie, Gabe. That one's over now. Okay, USC wins that game.
I never guarantee wins over the Bruins, but yes, it should be. If we don't win that game, I don't even want to imagine what would happen if we lose that game. So yeah, you're right. Let's just say it's a win, because I can't handle that right now. 2 down in the dumps. But yeah, overall, man, I don't even really know where to go from this. It's just devastating. And again, in the playoff era, we still have everything in front of us, but just very hard to imagine us pulling it together and being a playoff team after I saw that. I think my 8-4 prediction that I stupidly went away from last week, I bumped it up to 9-3. I think 8-4 sounds just about right to me.
I'm sticking with my 10-2.
I think we just won the national championship.
Okay, no, I'm kind of kidding.
I was just gonna say,
but I will tell you this. That's why this game. Let's shift this over to then more of. Let's look at the season. So can we move away from the? Can we move away from this game? I think it's.
Let's move away from this game.
Please. So let's look at this game big picture. The reason why people thought this game was a pivotal game is, one, because it was the first team with the pulse. Again, sorry, Michigan State.
Yes.
But it would allow us to see what this team has. And again, without the Boot Barn commercial or any comments, I don't think we've seen what this defense can be, because I think there's some strange stuff that we're trying to fit into this defense personnel wise that is limiting the defense. And we can't look at, the front seven and then the back as separately. It is one whole defense. And I think that the play calling is covering up some stuff. We're probably not able to, do some exotic blitzes or whatever we might want to do otherwise, because we're having trouble coverage, Gabe. It causes lots of trouble. We don't know how good some of these guys that have struggled so far might get over the next 3 to 4 weeks. The problem is the season's not going to wait for you. 3 weeks from now, USC very well could be staring at trying to hang on for a bowl game if we play like we played today. On the other hand, if this team gets it together, we get a couple of guys back healthy. And this is also assuming, we haven't talked about yet, but, as well as the offense played in this game, the running was inconsistent. It stunk up a little bit. I know we're moving away from, but we forgot to do this. The run game was not the way we saw it rolling out earlier. And by the way, Riley did stick with it, which is, kudos to Lincoln Riley. Mm-hmm. But, it's still, they in a game where they were running the ball for, I think, under 4 yards a carry, 3.7, 3.8 yards, whatever it ended up being. For the majority of the game, it was like 3.1, just barely above 3 yards a carry. And Riley stayed with it as they rushed the ball 34 times to 43 passes. So again, skewed. They were down though most of the game. So and we're down 14 points at one point in the fourth quarter. So that probably skewed the pass to run ratio. But at times it did look like losing Killian O'Connor. And that might be a lengthy injury. And then unsure of when we're going to get Elijah Page back, Gabe. We are going to need those guys back going forward next couple of games.
Yeah, we did totally forget to talk about this. So the Killian O'Connor injury. Now he was not playing lights out by any means. He was probably, I'd say, our most struggling offensive lineman, I guess is the best way to put it. And that injury did look to be long-term. He was shaken up. He was very upset. So that's heartbreaking for him. Love his story, love his journey, all of that. And Elijah Page, that's our best offensive lineman, easily for me. And this group is playing pretty well right now. So that's saying something. I do believe he'll be back for Michigan based on everything that's being said. Sounds like that's almost a lock. So in this game in particular, everyone's going to be talking about the penalty that Big General had when he just drifted downfield. Now, as a former offensive lineman myself at the high school level, I know how easy it is to lose focus, lose track of what you're doing. But that's just, my heart breaks for Mekhi Lemon, because that would have been an insane play to have on the highlight reel. But because of how American sports highlights work, for some reason that won't be shown on any of his highlight reels now because it didn't count, which I think is stupid. But that was such a great play call. Lincoln Riley totally schemed that one up perfectly. Perfect timing, perfect execution. Loved everything about it. That penalty was killer, and I'm not going to pin it on one play, but if that doesn't happen, we win this game, right? Is that fair to say, Tim?
It pulled 7 points off it pulled 7 points off the board anytime you do that. And remember, it's not just the points, it's also that would have tied the game up. It seemed like SC was constantly playing from behind.
Yes.
You leveled up there early in the game. That changed everything. And Zach Hansen, rightfully so, is getting a lot of praise from everywhere for the great job this off. I mean, look at what the shifting has done on this offensive line and how they've had to reshuffle this entire line in order to get, go around the injuries that we've had. They've done a great job of it. So I'm not going to harp too hard here. Big General's coming off he's coming out of the bullpen. He's cold, but he's a veteran. He needs to be focused. He needs to be locked in, not 5 yards, 5 full yards downfield for no apparent reason.
No apparent reasons, right? He's just like you said,
wandering.
Just literally wandering, having a good old time, watch the play, just like we all were at home. Yeah. Unbelievable. That just, there's just this team. We shoot ourselves in the foot over and over. We find new ways each week, it seems like, and it hasn't bit us in the ass because we've been playing, glorified high school teams. No offense, Michigan State. But yeah, the offensive line, though, overall, and the running game and all of that, it was a struggle. Like you said, I do like that Lincoln kept with it. We definitely ran the quarterback more than we've been seeing. Jay Mayava had 5 carries. Hassan Longstreet, I thought that deployment was very interesting. And as we get to playing these bigger, tougher teams, especially if we're struggling to get a push inside like we did at this game a few different times, I think that's something we could see a lot more. Don't think it's always just going to be QB power, QB counter, anything like that. I think we are going to give him a little throw option here or there down the road. I would love to see that, and something I fully expect to see. But yeah, I thought that was a fascinating usage as well.
Yeah, he is a true. I mean, Jaden every game to me actually seems to show me more quicks when he's actually running the ball. But when you have Longstreet in there, he is an absolute dual threat to run past the ball. So that defensive end cannot come crashing down. That's going to loosen up the middle, which is going to be interesting to see. And I do agree, Longstreet is going to pull that thing back and throw to a wide open receiver at some point this season. I wonder how much more we see that going forward. But attention to detail was a big part of the offseason preparation with Coach True. That was one of the things that they focused on. And I just need, not just from, we're harping on Jean-Ray Reed right now. I'm more looking at big picture across the board. There were a number of, there were some mental beats in this game. Let's face it. There had to be. It just didn't look right. It's sometimes the way they lined up, even on defense. 5 games in, that's got to be cleaned up. Okay, so now I'm ready to move on. You ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready to move on. This game is just, put me in a really bad mood.
So this game, for many reasons, I started talking about earlier, was going to give us a kind of a litmus test to see, where is USC? Where's the defense? Where's the offensive line? Where's Jaden Mayava? Offensive line, Jaden Mayava, I think we both covered it. We're very happy with where that's at.
Yes.
Defense, not so much. But another thing about this game is where it falls. It falls before this really difficult stretch. We're going to have a get right, get healthy, long week coming off of a loss, but at least the guys will be able to get healthy going into that Michigan game. Michigan was off today, but they'll be playing this coming week where USC is resting up and getting healthy. The thing is now USC is 1-1 in conference, and it's not going to get any easier. The goal is to lose 2 games a season. If you lose 2 goals, you can win the national championship. You definitely could get it to the playoffs if you're in the Big Ten. But dropping this game now, it puts a lot of pressure on the 4 games. Before it was like all you had to do was split the games with Nebraska and Michigan, the 2 games where I think SC has the most likelihood of winning going in this week for sure. And then you have 2 really difficult road tests. You have 2 difficult road tests in going to South Bend, going to Eugene, playing in Autzen, 2 places where USC hasn't won since 2011. That's 2012, 2011, whatever, a long time ago. And they don't win often there. And even great USC teams go to both those places and lose. So now, Gabe, you got these 4 games coming up, and it just seems to me now, Michigan, obviously, and going to Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska, these are now absolute must-win games.
I mean, just look at the Michigan game, just in what that means. I mean, just take the college football playoff stuff out of it, right? Look at what this game has become now. We know what the USC fan base is like, right? It doesn't take much, and they become dejected and just out of it and not wanting to go to games and selling tickets and all of that stuff. If we lose to Michigan at home, all of a sudden you're 4-2, staring down the barrel of 4-3 when you go to South Bend and things aren't looking good. I mean, this has the chance to spiral, as we saw last year. Like when we lost that game to Michigan, of course, of all teams, that turned into Penn State. That turned into Minnesota and Maryland. That's how these kind of things happen. I mean, this game has just taken on such a massive level of importance. And what you talked about with the bye week is 100% true. We have to get healthy. We need Elijah Page back in the worst of ways. We need to get a nickel back, probably Alex Graham, and counting on a true freshman to make his debut in the Coliseum against Michigan, probably going to be a primetime kick. Like, that's a big ask, but it can't be worse than what we've seen. And it's probably going to be a significant step up because he's just that talented. Now, I'm not going to put the weight of the world on his shoulders or anything, but having that one piece back, having Kamari not sick, being able to play safety, that's going to be a massive deal. Being able to move Christian Pierce down to an exclusively box role, where we didn't talk about Christian Pierce, but I thought he was very good in this game when he was not in coverage. When he's able to play down in the box, I think he's a very good player. But this Michigan game now, just like you said, is a must-win. It's extremely important in more ways than one. And with that trip to Notre Dame, yeah, I know I keep repeating myself, but we just have to win this Michigan game now. We don't have any margin for error. This could spiral. This could spin out of control. We've got to get back together, and we have to find a way to beat the Wolverines.
And Riley was really, really complimentary to the crowd. And it was, it was a late arriving crowd, but it was a lively crowd for that late 8:00 kick last week. But they were into it. This loss, Gabe, as I told you, I just saw 10,000 tickets just go on sale for Michigan fans on StubHub after, not a sponsor, on StubHub after the game, because our fan base is fickle. SC 5-0 going into the Coliseum against that Michigan team, that would have been a prime time matchup, and the SC fan base would be behind it. But I wonder how much this loss is going to affect that crowd. And we're going to need that crowd, you guys. In the Big Ten, the reason why SC's had so much trouble traveling on the road isn't just the travel. It's these fans and their stadiums and how live they are and how much they can affect the offense on 3rd down, on 4th down, getting clean signals, offsides. All this stuff goes into a close game, which I do believe this Michigan game is going to. I think this is going to be an absolute slugfest. Losing the crowd in this game, while we've never really, if you go all the way back to the Pete Carroll years, the last time we had a consistently loud Coliseum, it was a possibility. And I will tell you that there are a lot of Michigan transplants. I mean, if you work in LA, you must know at least 3 or 4 people. My family, my mom and dad are both from Michigan. You come out from the Midwest to go to school like my dad did, and you never go home. You just can't. And so it's going to be a tough game, and losing that game is going to shift the things. Hopefully not too much, but there's going to be a lot of maize and blue in that Coliseum next week. In 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm not selling my tickets, so I'll be there. I know you're going to be there covering the game, so that'll be cool to see you, of course. But yeah, the importance of that game now. It's just we really didn't give ourselves any room for error. So
no, now we have to steal one on the road in some place
Yes.
we haven't won in well over a decade.
yes,
Okay, I'm assuming the part where we take care of the Wolverines, because that's a flawed team. They got a lot of talent. I really respect their trench play, but other than that, it's not really. This isn't going to be a game because it's at home. If this is Ann Arbor, it's a whole different story. But having this game at home, SC plays different at home. I was really positive the way our defensive line was playing. If we play like we did in Champaign, that's going to change. But if we get some of that back, then I think that our offense is purring. I think that we get Elijah Page back. I think we're going to be able to move the ball against the Michigan. And I don't think that they're going to be able to keep up in a shootout with us. I just don't, I just don't think they're going to be able to do that with a freshman quarterback. So the key is going to be thinking way ahead, is like going again on the road, against a talented offense with Rayola when they go to Nebraska, and then somehow stealing one of two. Then you're talking, you're going back and you're doing your same talk about being in the playoffs.
I think we just won the national championship.
So I don't think we can really finish this podcast without talking about the end of the game. And people got really upset about the play call towards the end of the first half, which again, I think that with the high snap threw off the timing. I still think they could have got 2 plays off. That was supposed to be a quick hitter play and just got rolled out and took too long. But at the end of the game, USC made the decision coming out off of the 2-minute timeout. USC, and by the way, my God, this shows you Jada Mayava, his arm talent. It shows you Makai Lemon's clutch ability. They execute a perfect back shoulder pass to Makai Lemon on the left side and score immediately and so they leave about 1:56 on the clock for Luke Altmaier and this Fighting Illini offense, who, as I talked about, hadn't been stopped pretty much the entire second half with 3 timeouts. Gabe, what were your thoughts on scoring so quickly?
I'll be completely honest. It was extremely similar to the Pig Farmer game in 2023 when we scored and everyone knew what was going to happen next. Even Caleb, if you remember, he went to the sideline after we scored and he just sat there by himself because he knew. That was very much me watching this game today. I knew what was going to happen. This defense couldn't stop anything today. And obviously there's 2 trains of thought. You need to score the touchdown. We had a shot, so we took it. That's all well and good. But at the same time, you know that this defense can't stop anything today. Like, they just didn't have it. We didn't have the answers. They were physically dominating us. So to say that we hand wrapped them a chance to win this game or just the game itself might be a bit of a stretch, but there's also some truth to it. Personally, I would have liked to have seen at least a few runs, make the time come off the clock, make them use their timeouts, do something productive to help out this defense who clearly needed a big boost. So I was completely against it. I think it's just falls right in line with Lincoln Riley's lack of game management in regards to helping the defense specifically. Like, I don't think he's the worst overall game or clock manager in the world, but I do think that he doesn't know how to put his defense in good spots because he's just offensive minded. He wants his points, he wants his touchdowns, and that's where his mind's at. So yeah, I was not a fan of it. And when we scored so early, when the euphoria and joy of the touchdown came crashing down, I immediately just felt dread because I knew exactly what was going to happen on that next drive.
When the Illini get 10 possessions in the game and they either scored on or should have scored on 9 of them, Gabe. Touchdown, fumble at the goal line, half. Field goal, punt, touchdown, fumble at the goal line, field goal.
Yeah.
A lot of these drives, they had a couple really, like 3 really long drives as well, but they showed the ability to torch our corners. And the way our corners were playing and getting tested. And the funny thing is by not burning some clock, they had the 3 timeouts. So they were able to run draw plays. They were able to run the ball through the A gap, like multiple times as they matriculated slowly, it seemed like, down the field. Mm-hmm. And at the end of it, USC's calling timeouts to preserve time so they might get a chance to have the ball back if they can stop them, but they end up getting the first down and the point was moot. That was the most difficult thing for me. But it's not like you're down by 1, 2, or 3 points. You're down by a full touchdown. So if you have a chance to take that shot, and I mean, maybe Riley's going, okay, they're not expecting us to go take a shot to the end zone right now. Maybe it's the best chance we have to take a shot for the end zone. But we weren't having trouble. We had just scored we had scored 2 straight touchdowns before that, on back-to-back series. And it did look like the way we were running the ball, because they stayed with the run as much as they did, even though they were down 14 points in the second half a couple of times, they stayed with the run game. It did look like that the defensive line for Illinois was getting tired. I would have liked to have seen a couple of runs and seen what they could do. I really do. But, hindsight's 20/20. It really is. But it almost seemed like we were waiting and hoping for a turnover, because it seemed like that was the only way and they were to get in field goal position. And Bielema was on record saying that this is the best kicker that he's ever been around. So put all that together, and I know the conventional thought is, look, you got a touchdown, you're down by 6 points, you take the touchdown. But like you said, the pig farmer, being in that Coliseum, and everybody, including Caleb, as you said, but every fan there knew that they were going to march down the field and kick a walk-off field goal, just like happened. And it's just the way SC is losing these games in the Big Ten. All of them are just right there, and USC just isn't able to get out of its own way. It's unable to stop getting these self-inflicted penalties, errors, turnovers, just unforced errors that are really killing this team. And at some point, and I think that's why Tremaine Carroll is here, and it's kind of hard to change a culture in a partial off season. But this team has to do some soul searching in this bye week. Realize that if they can't just have it on a t-shirt slogan, attention to detail is attention to detail. That's carrying the ball high and tight. That's not staring down your receiver. That's not giving a guy inside leverage. That's using your good hand technique and footwork not to get blocked out of a play 5 yards down the field. And if USC does not sort this stuff out, you're looking at a stretch right here of about 4 games that it could be a really bad game. And then the fan base, I'll tell you what, if we have another 5-loss season, I don't even want to know what this fan base is going to be like. It's going to be great for views and stuff, but that's not where we want to be in this space.
No, if we have a 5-loss season, and I'm sure it's 4 losses for a lot of people, but I know if it's 5, I'll be completely out on Lincoln Riley. I'll be honest. Like, there's no world where this USC team should be even sniffing 7-5, not with this schedule.
No.
Now 8-4, it's a different discussion. 9-3, obviously. Heading into this game, I thought, just with the way we played at Michigan State, or at home to Michigan State and at Purdue, that 9-3 was the lowest that we should be. I'm still kind of there. Like, I think that this team should be 9-3, but I don't think they're going to be. I still think we're going to be 8-4 because that sounds right to me. But yeah, I've lost a ton of faith in Lincoln Riley not in terms of being a play caller or any of that stuff, but just his ability to run a Big Ten contending program. I think I'm not calling for his job, so no one misinterpret what I'm saying. It's just, I'm not going to blindly believe something that he's given me zero reason to believe in, to be honest.
I'm just worried about how we continue to struggle with personnel issues, Gabe, and depth.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know they brought Chasen Johnson in. I think he was a big piece, a big key to this, the cornerback play. And I know he got hurt, and I know about our injuries, but everyone deals with injuries. And the fact that I thought we could check off. Here's one thing: quarterback, check; offensive line, check. And then the third big thing we were worried about going in, we were not worried about the secondary, but that was the pass rush, a consistent pass rush. And that just evaporated with only 1 sack and, probably maybe 3 hurries. What do you think? They were, Altmaier was not.
And a sack wasn't even a traditional
was a corner,
pass rushing sack. It was just an untouched corner
coming off the edge. So, you're right. That wasn't the front 7. So, so it's just a complete lack of pass rush in this game throws that back into question. And I guess we're going to have to wait 2 more weeks to see if this was an anomaly or if this is what we're going to have going forward. So, yeah, kind of disappointing. Kind of disappointing not to see this team at full strength. Kind of disappointing to see another gut-wrenching loss at last minute, especially on the road.
Well, that was a cheerful podcast. So with all that in mind, Tim, do you want to tell them where they can find you?
Yeah, you can reach me Wednesdays either if it's Jamal and Ryan or one or the other. We will be doing the weekly call-in show Wednesdays at 7 p.m. We were toying with the idea of Monday, but it's not working for schedules. But appreciate everybody that called in today. We had our buddy Preston from Preston's Paradise call in as well. Looking forward to this. We had a bunch of first-time callers, which was nice. But you can also see my work over on lafbnetwork.com, where this week I want any photos because it was a road game that I didn't attend. But going to be writing something up about this secondary in the next couple of days. So hope you come check us out over there.
Yeah, make sure you guys are checking out the call-in show. They do a great job over there at LAFB. In terms of me, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at the Trojan Blade, uploading a ton over there, as one can expect during the season. And yeah, I really appreciate all of you for listening. You guys are all awesome. And as always, take care and fight on.